Welcome everyone to our webinar, Paycheck with a Purpose, Careers in Impact Entrepreneurship. My name is Jennifer Bongwa, Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation, and we are so happy to have you joining us today. For those who are just adding in, this is our webinar, Paycheck with a Purpose, Careers in Impact Entrepreneurship. We are really excited to have an amazing panel today, coordinated with Pollinate Impact and full of impact investors, impact entrepreneurs and people who are working in the impact entrepreneurship space. So we are going to launch a poll, I believe. Let's see. So if you want to let us know which of the following best describes why you have joined today's session, you can let us know in the poll. And if you want to let us know in the chat where you're joining from, we would love to see that. So it's, we have people here who are wanting to maybe start your own business and you want to know what to do or what support's out there. People who are considering starting a business but don't know how to get started. People thinking they're not sure what they want to do without after graduation, and people who are looking for meaning in your career. So excited to see your answers there. We'll get started in just a moment and introduce our incredible panel of speakers that we have here today. Again, this is a webinar that is co-hosted by Nexford University and Pollinate Impact. So yeah, let us know in the chat where you're joining from as you're filling in that poll. And just a little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone will receive a copy of the recording of this presentation. And if we mention any resources, we will share that in the follow-up as well. Since you registered, you will receive that. So thank you to everyone who has done so. We're really happy to have you here. All right. I'll ask our panelists to go ahead and come on camera. So filling in that poll, thank you to everyone. We have an even split almost between some of the options. Interesting to see. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started. Like I said, my name is Jennifer Bongura. I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation, and I'm joined here by a really remarkable group of people working in the impact entrepreneurship space. To get us started, I'd love to just do a brief round of intros, and we'll dig a little bit in as the conversation goes on to share, who you are, what type of work is keeping you busy right now, and where you're based. So I'll start with Ariel. Go ahead and kick us off. You can send it over to whoever next that you'd like.
Great. Thanks so much, Jennifer. I'll be mostly quiet and I'll let the other panelists talk more on this, but I'm the Chief Convener with Pollinate Impact. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. And we're really excited to co-host this session with Nexford today because we know there are so many budding entrepreneurs out there who might not know where to turn for support, or young folks who want to start their businesses, but the landscape can be really murky of where to go and what type of support you need. And there are so many incubators, accelerators, and entrepreneur support organizations out there. And we really wanted to host this conversation to help demystify some of that and hopefully make the waters a little bit clearer to help you understand the different types of sectors, the different type of stages, the different types of impact that these wonderful folks who've agreed to join us from all over the continent are doing. So really excited to be having this conversation. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. And I will pass it over to Stephen because he's the next one I see on my screen. And Stephen, you're on mute, sorry.
Yeah, hi everybody. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle finding the unmute button, but happy to meet you all. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks, Ariel. So I'm Stephen, based in Accra, Ghana. Very beautiful weather today. What I do on a day-to-day, I support late-stage ventures to scale. All right. So what does that mean? I support them in key areas of their business. For the past few months, should I say for the past year, a lot of the work I have been doing with ventures is around raising funds and investment readiness. But I work with an organization that primarily supports software entrepreneurship and software entrepreneurs across the continent. So that's a little bit of what I do. My background is in agricultural economics. I have not worked in agric yet, hopefully in the future. But a lot of the work that I have done in the past has been around impact research, has been around tech sales and business consulting. So yeah, that's it from my side, and very nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much. I'll follow down the list. Benjamin, could you tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you're doing, and where you're doing it?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, so I'm glad to be part of this, participating in this webinar. My name is Benjamin Barwa, joining in from Kenya. I represent an organization called Vilgrow Africa, whereby we support innovations and solutions in the healthcare space as well as life sciences. For me, I am more involved in project leadership, project management, and also overseeing accelerator programs. So what maybe just to say as a opening as we kick this off is there are actually a lot of opportunities in the space, be it for innovators, be it for enablers, in that case, like people like me who get into the space to work with the respective social enterprises. And I look forward to sharing insights about the same in this conversation. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. Next, we have Joram. Joram, could you share a little bit more about who you are?
Okay. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, from wherever you're joining us from. Joram Winamo, co-founder, CEO of Sandbox, also based in Nairobi. I've been in the entrepreneurship support space, I don't know, maybe longest here for a very, very long time. Studied computer science, went into project management and then business development, and then I became a strategy consultant, focused on entrepreneurs and business development services, and a company called Wild International up until 2019, 2020, co-founded Sandbox. That's an entrepreneur support hub that brings together different professional services under one roof. So innovating a new model around serving entrepreneurs. So we have 37 non-competing entrepreneurs under one roof, and I manage that community of service providers. And we serve a community of about 2,400 entrepreneurs here in Nairobi. Yeah, so my life is everything entrepreneurship. Looking forward to a nice discussion here.
That's amazing. Tabitha, we'll turn it over to you. Thank you, Joram.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. My name is Tabitha Amondi Otabi. I'm representing Endeavor. Endeavor is a global network of over 2,400 entrepreneurs across 41 markets. And we support, high impact entrepreneurs to dream bigger, scale it faster, and pay it forward. I have a very non-linear pathway to entrepreneurship, having studied chemistry and physical chemistry, and then, did high school teaching for 2.5 years before transitioning to management consulting and financial advisory, and now in entrepreneurial support. So extremely non-linear, but still very grateful and excited to be here.
We love a non-linear career path here. That's wonderful. Thank you all for your introductions and sharing more about who you are, where you're working. So this webinar, we want to really dig into impact entrepreneurship. And what that means, either how you define it. So we see a lot of different definitions here. One being around the efforts to create, develop, and sustain new business models that pursue social or environmental goals as an integral part of the model, together with financial success. I also hear, triple bottom line thrown around people, profits, planet. I think there are a lot of interpretations around impact entrepreneurship, but ultimately having at its core, like making the world a better place. So how do you define impact at your organization? Is it a metric that you're measuring, and how are you defining it? How are you measuring it? And how are you seeing businesses, how can they be a driver for economic and social development? And Joram, why don't we start with you? And then please, on deck, whoever feels called. Yeah, Joram.
I could see the crosshairs on me. I don't know. I just felt it. So for Sandbox, so we've been an enterprise support organization that has largely worked with, I would call it, growth stage entrepreneurs. These are people who've probably done at least 3 years in business. Their business, has a product market fit, probably have customers and revenue and are growing. And so what we have focused on is helping them put in place business structures, processes, systems, and strategies for growth, and just to begin to understand what it takes at that stage where the business begins to outgrow the individual capacity of the entrepreneur, where you have more clients and you can serve as an individual, you have, growing clientele, maybe you have, your brand is growing. And so a lot of people stagnate there because they don't know how to put in place processes, structures, systems. That is probably when you come into the radar of people like the tax man, and your business is not informal, so it's visible. And we then step in just to help them build their leadership capability, because they'll be hiring people to grow their businesses, put in place processes like financial systems, be tax compliant, put in place marketing systems, operational processes, and the like. And the overall impact of what we do with them, if we do a good job and they execute well, is that their businesses will grow and continue to hire more people and scale. We've had a few that have even scaled regionally. And the net impact of that is that the business generates more money, more resources. Hopefully, if they have a profit motive, it's able to be sustainable and generate money for the business owner and the shareholders, but also create sustainable employment. So hire more people on a formal basis, be able to offer maybe benefits to the employees and the like. So overall, you have higher quality employment being generated by that business. And if now you multiply that at scale times 2,000, then you have quite a bit of impact happening in the community where these businesses operate. And that's how we see the impact, that when these businesses grow and scale, they're able to generate jobs, they're able to create wealth and money for those who are, its stakeholders and shareholders. And I don't know a more sustainable way to develop an economy than build entrepreneurs, because you can be able to multiply jobs at scale when you work with small, medium-sized enterprises and help them grow at scale. So that's how we look at impact. We also look at the quality of the jobs and the lifestyles of the people working in the businesses as a metric of the entrepreneur is less stressed because they're running a better business that's well-oiled, not stressed and having no work-life balance. We try and get them all around, improving how they run the business. I can stop there maybe. There are many of us.
Yeah, that's great. Tabitha, thank you. Yes.
Amazing. I raised my hand because Joram just explained what Endeavor does, right? So we do it on a different scale across 41 markets. We began in 1998 in South America. And the essence is, how do you take entrepreneurs that are growing really, really fast, and give them the tools and the resources that they need to we say to 10x or to get to 100 million in revenues, but ultimately catalyze an ecosystem. So we did a study in Argentina where we looked at what would have happened if, this one entrepreneur did not get the support, and what other businesses have come from that support. So I'm gonna post a link. It's called the multiply effect, that really captures what that looks like, that visualizes what Joram just said, and you'll be able to see what, what one founder, by being successful and supporting the next generation of entrepreneurs, has been able to do in an ecosystem. And the way we support this, so that's impact. So I'm echoing the definition of impact that Jerome just defined, and saying that's also the definition that we take, which is, for emerging markets where we have unemployment challenges, not the most conducive, environments, economic, to build businesses, having strong beacons of businesses that pay it forward really catalyzes change in the ecosystem. Right. So it's about thinking about ecosystem. Obviously, impact has broad definition. There's the environmental aspect to it that's really becoming important. There's social, there's livelihood. So jobs impacts livelihoods. And so that's, I think, the one main definition that I'm picking from Jerome, but I'm just echoing that that's the lenses that we take. And additionally, how we see the outcome of that is through multiply effect. And I just shared that, so I'll post there.
That's great. Thank you so much. I put I've copied that link and put it in the everyone chat, and then we'll also share that in the follow-up. Stephen, yes.
Yeah, hi. So I'll just add on to that. And to be honest, there isn't much to add on to that because what we're doing is really similar. But maybe I'll just tell a story of how we came about and what drives us. So I work for an organization called West Africa, and we are the foundation arm of the social media monitoring company called Meltwater in San Francisco. So our founder in 2008, I believe, who is a successful software entrepreneur, raised by Norwegian parents, and has been able to scale his business to 50 plus countries across the world, employing hundreds of thousands of people. Decided that how can I create opportunities for young people to be able to replicate what I have been able to do. So then he also traveled around the world, did some research, and eventually settled on Ghana as a place to start this company that will be able to support entrepreneurs. And at Mest, we say our mission is to train young people to create globally successful companies that will provide jobs and wealth. So very similar to what Joram and what Tabitha are doing in their spaces. So for us, impact is really creating a successful company that is able to provide jobs for the ever-growing workforce in Africa. So simply put. But we have a bias towards software. So a lot of the companies that we work with are software businesses or largely tech-enabled businesses.
That's great, thank you. So we covered here, it sounds like, and I love what Joram brought up about it's not just employment, but looking at the quality of employment. And it sounds like, that's measured in a number of different ways by how benefits, whether they are or are not offered, work-life balance. I'm curious, what that looks like, how you are tracking this all on the back end. And so that's a very important aspect of impact entrepreneurship, is the quality of jobs that are being created as a result of someone's company. I'd love to dig into a little bit more around the resources, mentorship, and support that different incubators are offering to entrepreneurs, and people here on the call who may be interested in becoming that impact entrepreneur themselves, or working for a company that has as a focus, has impact entrepreneurship embedded in its DNA. So you all have touched a little bit on this, but I'd love to hear more if we can dig into what type of support on a day-to-day basis does it look like that you're offering your entrepreneurs. And you mentioned the different stages of companies that you're supporting and the sectors, but if there are any other considerations that come into play when you're looking at the entrepreneurs you're supporting and the how you're supporting them. So I wonder, Benjamin, may I turn to you to hear a little bit more about how you all are doing since you have a formal accelerator within?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'm happy to speak about that. Maybe as I just build up from where the rest of the team left it, one of the things that I would just point out to complement what I was saying is that we are trying to push business from not only being just transactional, but being relational, so that in the sense that it's not just about making money and profits, but then being able to see to what extent that business would be able to sort of create sort of another good for society, and which ties into what the rest of the team has mentioned. In terms of support, I'd speak like for in the case of Vilgro, since then we're in the healthcare sector. There's a very big opportunity that lies in that when you look at the African market. For us, our focus is across Africa, and one of the key things we come to look and realize, even when we reflect like 4 years ago at the onset of the pandemic, there was a big struggle to do with access to medical devices, healthcare support, and the likes. But actually, these solutions are available locally. So it's just a matter of how then we can be able to support and ensure these solutions can commercialize and they can be scaled. And when we talk about then support that we're able to give these solutions, these businesses, we are looking at it from different phases. There are those that we support that would be sort of early stage ones. So these might be those that are pre-revenue, trying to figure out their way in the market. And actually one of the biggest support is trying to see how we can get them to be investor ready. So trying to support them to validate their business models, try to support them to actually have a clear product market fit in terms of how they communicate on their solutions, and trying to also support them how to structure their businesses. So there's a couple of a basket of, let me put it like, support that they could be able to get. And also then we have those that are sort of like in a revenue or a scale-up phase. And maybe they are looking of more to do with fundraising. So then for such like, we're able to support them access more funds. In some instances, we can have given them in some initial funds a seed capital, and as they continue to scale, then that fund is able to support them unlock more financing for use in their businesses. So something just in that mode, and the support is through one-on-one support that they get through our internal team of experts. We're also able to link them with industry experts, because when you look at healthcare, meditech, it's also a technical field. And then also being able to support them access markets and the like. So there's quite a lot in terms of the support they can get. And I'm also just happy to paste a link in terms of what we have to offer on the chat, which then the participants could be able to have a look at. Thank you.
Wow, that's wonderful. And I don't know, Zoom does the default to hosts and panelists, so I'll just put that in the everyone chat here. It's pretty remarkable hearing from you all about what in-depth support you're providing to your ecosystem of entrepreneurs. And I think for many, it might be, it's just pretty eye-opening to hear all the support that can be available, and also how difficult it is to imagine doing this type of work alone, and how much better it must be to walk through someone's impact entrepreneurship journey with people who have been through it before and who really understand how to connect people to different networks. Stephen, Tabitha, Jorm, is there anything that you'd like to add around the different types of support that you're providing to your entrepreneurs? Maybe something people are, would be surprised to know that you offer, or
Yeah, so I
Stephen.
could go next. Oh, Stephen was okay.
Yeah, Joram, go ahead.
Okay. So our model is a bit different. We kind of evolved from the hypothesis that while capital is a big issue, there was a bigger problem with people, in a sense, understanding management concepts and how to build a business. We find that a lot of entrepreneurs are amazing at the product or service that they offer because they tend to be maybe a technical expert, or they've just built, a really, really good product from the ground up. But a business has very many other components that nobody prepares you to deal with down the line, which is like hiring people, managing teams, managing finances, managing taxes, managing legal processes. And there are all these very many management things that come into play that can really overwhelm an entrepreneur. First, they're shocked because they didn't expect that they'll be dealing with all these things that have nothing to do directly with the product, but yet they have to manage it to remain compliant and to keep running their business and the like. And so we built a support system to be able to take that weight off the entrepreneurs. One of the things we do is have a model on one side of our business that's very commercial, where they come and pay for those services directly, and we're able to walk a journey with them, whether it's through coaching, consultancy, trainings, where they come into programs and the like. So we do have, I would say, half our business that is very direct to entrepreneur focused, where an entrepreneur can walk in, state their problems, we do an assessment, and then disaggregate their challenges and start them on a journey where they maybe start off with one expert who fixes their brand, then they go to a second who fixes their HR, then a third who fixes their marketing. And then we have the other side of the business is where now we work with institutions that are either supporters of enterprises or funders of enterprises, or in one way or another have some kind of concern over SMEs. It could be banks that have SME customers, or large corporates that have SMEs in their value chain in terms of distributors and agents and stuff. And all these are companies that one way or another need to learn how to run their businesses better. So you may have the corporate either subsidize or pay for the program, and then we bring our experts in to take the entrepreneurs through different processes and help them to streamline and strengthen their businesses. And so, so we manage these two sides, where we either have walk-in entrepreneurs or corporates who bring in bulk entrepreneurs as the business model that enables us to engage with entrepreneurs. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And Stephen, I want to send it to you in a moment, but could you clarify, Jorm? I'm just curious, from all that you've shared, are you receiving inbound entrepreneurs? People are finding you and saying, please help me. Are you getting your entrepreneurs, are you getting connected to them through banks who have them as customers and want to help them refine their products that presumably they go on to make more money that goes into the bank? What does that look like?
I mean, so those are two journeys, because when it's the large corporate, then we probably have like a head of SME programs or distribution manager or someone that we're dealing with, who then have some kind of way of incentivizing their SMEs to come into our program. Maybe they have a point system where they need their distributors to, have a minimum standard to be able to serve the company, but they don't want to do the heavy lift of helping them, like get their companies compliant and stuff. And so in that case, you'll have a bulk number of entrepreneurs come in. Either they'll come to our center, or we'll go to a hotel, or the company location where they have a training center or something, and we'll be able to build a relationship with the entrepreneurs there as a group. Once the program is over, sometimes there's the opportunity to continue serving that entrepreneur as an individual, where they come and we continue the journey with them. And then on the flip side now is where they walk in and state their problem, almost like a hospital. We diagnose them and then begin a journey. So we have those two sides of the model that work. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And Stephen, I'll send it over to you, and Felix will get to you in a moment. We're so glad you're here. Stephen, please.
All right, thank you. So at Mest, we have a wide range of entrepreneurs that we support. So right from ideation, all the way to ventures that are doing, say, up to $5 million in revenue, right? So we have different programs that support different kinds of entrepreneurs. A lot of what we do for already existing ventures is very similar to what Jerome talked about. So a lot of the technical support, expert support, industry support. So we do a lot of that. But our core program is what we call our Entrepreneur in Training program, right? Where every year we recruit 60 aspiring African tech entrepreneurs from across the continent, right? So for instance, our current cohort, we have 60 people from 19 different countries in Africa. We fly all of them in. So it's a fully sponsored program. We bring all of them into Ghana and we provide them training. We give them the mindset, provide the environment and the experiences that they need to build and run successful technology enterprises. So that is what we have been doing for the past 15 years. So at the end of the day, they form teams and they form ventures that for some of them we eventually fund, right? So yeah, training is a big part of what we do. Funding is also a big part of what we do. At that stage, we're able to provide the funds that they need to take off, right? So typically we will do like maybe $100,000 per team, right? But at the stage of a company that's doing maybe $1 million in revenue, we may not be able to give them the money that they need to scale. So in those cases, we partner with other organizations. One of our biggest partners is the MasterCard Foundation that can help us unlock the kind of funds that these companies need. We also do work with a lot of VCs. We work with a lot of PEs to be able to unlock the kind of funding that these ventures will need. But at the very, very early stage, we have our training program, we have our seed fund, and then we have our incubator. So once they go through our 1-year graduate level training program, then they graduate into our incubator, and for 18 months, we help them with market entry support and basically help them with the structures and the support that they need to launch their businesses. So over the years, we have been able to create some of the most promising startups on the continent from our program, right? Like we can talk about the likes of Complete Pharma. We can talk about Mikasa. Mikasa is the leading real estate platform here in Ghana. We can talk about, sure you guys have heard of Pharmaline. We can talk about, many other software-driven or tech-driven ventures in many other parts of the continent. So we have presence in 5 key markets. So there's Accra, there's Lagos, there's Dakar, there's Joburg, and there's Nairobi as well. And these are the primary markets that we recruit from. So maybe I also have to share a link because we are recruiting for class of 2025. So if any of you are interested in our program, you're also welcome to join. So these are other ways we also support entrepreneurs here at Mest.
That's amazing. I'm excited to see that link, and I'm sure everyone attending is as well. Thank you for sharing, Stephen. Before we keep going, Felix, I want to say welcome to you and thank you so much for being here. Could you share who you are and what you're doing professionally and how it relates to impact entrepreneurship? Oh, and maybe mine's a little. Let's see. Can you hear me okay, Felix?
It's me?
Yes, could you take a moment to introduce yourself? We're so glad that you're here.
So thank you very much, Jennifer and the team. Apologies for getting late and problem. I realized that I had not updated my machine, so that's why I was having so many problems. So my name's Felix Magaju. Glad to see a couple of friends of mine here on this panel. I would describe myself as one of the incubator and accelerator specialists in the country and within East Africa. Been in this space for the last close to 12, 13, 14 years in the incubation, acceleration, and financing space for the early stage companies and growth stage companies. At KCAC, just to give you a brief, at KCAC, we are dealing with early stage and growth stage companies. We have programs cutting both heads, and in terms of service provision, and before that, perhaps in 1 year, we always look at more than 200, 300 to 500 companies every year. We are quite a bit huge. We also a little bit in Tanzania and Uganda. We are running a couple of programs there. And our program size, in terms of durability is 1 year of incubation and 1 year of acceleration. We provide business advisory support. We provide access to finance in terms of RBF, and also in terms of what we call resort-based, early stage financing mechanism, and also plain grants to companies in 5 sectors: renewable energy, water, agribusiness, commercial forestry, and waste management. Of course, under acceleration, we do a lot of market access support, a lot of governance in terms of business advisory, and also in terms of access to finance. We give a little bit of commercial financing. We also have a fund, which is KCV, which looks at growth stage companies to ticket sizes of above $100,000. So we are operating across that value chain within those 5 sectors. So just in a nutshell, that's what we do at KCAC. We have supported the last 10 years over 3,000 companies, and we are going strong every day. So we are quite big in terms of the kind of companies we're supporting around. So thank you very much, Jennifer. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I'd love to move in. We've talked, now about what impact entrepreneurship is, how your different accelerators and incubators and organizations are supporting entrepreneurs. So I'd love to get into the nitty-gritty a little bit of what's the best way to get started. So people here on this call, again, maybe they have an idea for a company they want to build, or maybe they want to join one of those companies that's going to build more meaningful employment opportunities for people across around the world. How do also maybe it's attending this webinar and connecting with you, but what's the best way for someone to get started with their business idea? Who's yelling? Tabitha, how about you? Or who, but Benjamin, should I?
Okay, thanks. Probably I could go first on that. So I'm just trying to think about it, and I'm trying to look at it, and maybe the others on the call can relate, how maybe we go about it when we are trying to seek innovators or inventions that would be able to support. It's actually first the existence of it in most cases, actually, to just see that yes, there's an idea, there's an innovation that is out there and is addressing a clear problem that is in the market. So, for example, for us at Vilgro, we'd be looking at if it's in the healthcare space, which type of innovation is this that has been sort of presented? What is it addressing? How big is that problem? And if then this innovation itself is able to be executed, to what extent could it be scaled? To what extent could it be replicated? So those are some of the basic things just as an onset to begin looking at, because for us it's very key in terms of being able to conduct what is sort of due diligence and a needs assessment, because in this space you'll come to realize there's a lot of good stories that are written on paper, but in terms of execution of the same, it becomes a bit of a challenge. So actually being able to validate the same is something that is key for us. So then once that is able actually to to be presented, we're able now to move on to the next phase, because then for us, in terms of our programs, we have clear criteria of what we'll be looking for. But as I've just mentioned, those would be some of the key things for us, because then at the end of the day, in terms of getting your business now to grow, that is the work we are doing. So looking at the feasibility, looking at the potential of scale, looking at a clear problem market fit for the same is something that is very key for us. So that's I can leave it there and let the rest of the team jump in.
Thank you so much. So I hear a lot of times entrepreneurs talking about not how important it is to listen to your customers and not create a solution for a problem that you think exists, but that actually does exist. Tabitha, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks. I'm not an entrepreneur, but I'll just provide some comments. One, that the entrepreneurs who go out, they see an opportunity and they launch out and they mobilize resources and they do it. So some come from backgrounds of entrepreneurship, family, or they've seen they interacted with people, etc. And they've calculated their risk, right? Entrepreneurship is also risky. You calculate your risk. You have people who are forced to go into entrepreneurship because they don't have, let's say, jobs, and they're thinking, how do I get an income, etc. And then there's the third one, I call it the soft landing, where you see a problem, but you engage, either incubators that are there to support you. So they're structured for programs like, for example, Antler, Founders Factory, what Vilgo does, what MES does. And they kind of, are aggregated resource centers that you go to, especially if you're starting off as an idea, maybe you don't have as much mentorship. So it's looking and assessing internally to understand what are the best opportunities out there. Do you have the capital to go start it ahead? Are you really convinced about the problem and the solution? And then you take advantage of that, right? So I'm just going to post all those names I've mentioned, obviously. You can look at them and do some research so that it's not as a hard thing to think about when you're starting, that, there are all these other support systems that are there. And I'm sure I've left some, you can talk about it. But something that I also did learn this past season is it's one thing to have a product. It's another thing to have a company. The caution is to not take a product that's masquerading as a company. And that's something to really think about. Is this a product or could this be a company? So I'll just leave it there and have the other people comment.
Thank you so much, Tabitha, and for sharing those links. I'll get the hyperlinks and share them in the follow-up. Joram.
Yeah, I just wanted to give some context around, I don't think there's a time in maybe the history of the world that entrepreneurship receives as much support as it does today. I think there's a sense in which the world has rediscovered entrepreneurship. I think we did go through an era where economies and companies were growing so fast that people would be able to finish their education at a higher institution and educational institution and get a job immediately. But then at some point that began to slow down, and a lot of people would then begin thinking about, what else can I do? I cannot get a job. Do I start a business? And there's been a lot of questions around whether entrepreneurship, is the answer to getting, more enterprises up and running to create jobs. And so what that has done is that it's created a movement where governments are putting programs towards supporting entrepreneurs, whether it's in terms of setting aside funds to fund youth businesses or, to support businesses in one way or another. You also have corporate and family foundations setting aside funds to support businesses in terms of through whether it's grants or impact investment. You also have corporate entities, doing things like corporate venture capital, where they're putting money into supporting businesses. And then you have the venture capital and impact investment industry, which is really huge, I think over $700 billion today. And so for context, we are in like entrepreneurship support heaven today. Not everything that comes as support will be useful to an entrepreneur. So you like have to be careful, what you're looking for, and whether maybe a support organization has what it takes to support somebody like you. Do they understand your idea, the industry you're playing in? Are they able to, help you with resources, guidance, mentorship, and the like? But there's so much choice today. I think she's just posted 5 links here. There are so many others that we could bring up. Some are very sector driven, like Benjamin in healthcare with Vilgro. KCIC in the green economy. You'd find some are tech oriented, some are biotech, some are fintech, others are agri-tech. And so I think the industry has become very specialized. I would say we're in a very mature phase, because after this, a lot of people are looking at then what value is being added by a particular enterprise support organization, investor, or incubator or accelerator. And so what is happening now is not normal. It's not always been like this. When I started out about 16 years ago in this industry, for example, in Kenya, you didn't find a lot of people leaving school and thinking about entrepreneurship as a career choice. It's a culture that has built up over that period of time. You probably had maybe traditional Asians or foreigners who were running businesses, but now you have a lot of more indigenous people setting up businesses, going into incubators, accelerators, raising money, exiting. So the culture has changed quite a bit as far as Kenya is concerned. And yeah, the industry, I think, will continue to evolve. So as people think about how to come into this space, there's all those factors to consider in terms of specialization, sector, industry, and then what particular skill do you want to build? Do you want to be in corporate finance where you're doing the financial analysis and financing bits? Do you want to be in the management side where you're teaching people how to run a business? Do you want to be on the hand-holding side? There's so much, I would say, opportunity now in the enterprise support space. Or do you want to work for a DFI and manage grants and manage programs? There's so many opportunities in the industry today.
That's amazing. What I'm hearing is to really understand your specialization and then build your network from there. And we've curated some resources just within this chat. And also sometimes I find LinkedIn to be such a rich research tool, and it expands my mind every day to learn about different opportunities, sectors I hadn't heard about before. So I hope everyone who's on the call here will take a look at the profiles of our speakers and where they're working, so you can better understand how their different accelerators, incubators, and organizations are supporting entrepreneurs and which sector they're focusing on. I think what I'd love to know, we have 10 more minutes. So if you have questions for our speakers, please do put those in the Q&A so that we can ask them of the group. So I want to make sure that people have time to do that. And thank you, Joram, for putting your organization there in the chat. That's great. And I'll put that in our follow-up message. So I'd love to know, what are you all doing, or how are people connecting to your companies, again, who want to work for them, but don't necessarily want to be the entrepreneur themselves? So I've seen with some venture capital funds, they will have a career page of their portfolio companies that shows open roles in the companies they're supporting. I don't know if any of you all have something similar to that. And I imagine a large part of what you're doing is connecting your entrepreneurs to talent. So what does that look like in reality? Do you have your own Rolodex of people that you're connecting people to? Are you using LinkedIn? Do you have a recruiter? Yes, Stephen, you take it away. Did you put your hand?
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. So I did mention earlier that at MEST, the #1 impact metric is job creation, right? And even as we support the ventures, the ultimate goal is that they create more jobs. But we also realized that over the years, one of the biggest needs for most of the ventures that we work with is digital support, right? So a lot of them don't have the software talent and the digital talents that they need to scale their businesses. And so we created programs that train young people in software development and digital marketing, from which we match these talents to these companies that we are scaling or accelerating, right? So in the past, I believe 3 years, we have trained close to maybe 1,000 or 2,000 software entrepreneurs and digital marketers and social media managers, who we eventually match to the ventures that we're working with. And over the years, we've worked with at least 200 ventures. So that's a way of providing job opportunities for these young people. So they are not necessarily young people that want to go into entrepreneurship, but mainly young people that maybe might be unemployed, but at graduate level and are interested in learning a new skill and are looking for jobs. So that's usually how we filter through the people that we accept into the programs. And then we train them and we ultimately match them to work with the ventures that we're accelerating. And even beyond that, we also match them to other ventures or other companies that might be interested in young talent. So we have, as of now, we have a whole program that is working towards training more young people and matching them to remote jobs. So a lot of what we do is training and job placements as well. We have programs that support that.
That's wonderful. I'm curious, Stephen, could you share any trends that you see? You're doing so much upskilling. What are some of the either challenges that you see with that you're addressing in your training, or opportunities for people as they're considering how they want to build their skill set to be relevant for a startup, or really, a company?
I would say, and we did have this conversation not too long ago in the office. One of the biggest things that we have realized is that it's not enough to train people in technical skills. We have a lot of young people that need training in soft skills as well, right? So we've matched hundreds of people to jobs, and we're constantly getting complaints around work ethics. People don't show up on time. People don't take work seriously. So, sure you guys understand what I'm trying to communicate. So this is becoming a real issue when it comes to matching young people to jobs. So we're looking at how can we create more trainings and programs that will prepare young people for jobs beyond the technical skills, right? So these are one of the things that we are even trying to figure out ourselves. What I would say is that for our main training program, it's very robust and it's able to tackle some of these issues, right? Very robust, very intense. But for our 3-month, maybe skills training programs, we typically don't have enough time, and the curriculum is not robust enough to train them in soft skills as well, especially if you're delivering a program for 1,000 people on a virtual platform. How do you go about something like this? So even for us, is a bit of a challenge, and there are ongoing conversations around how we can be able to better prepare young people for the job market on the soft skills side. So that's what I'll say. Maybe our panelists will have some things to add on to that as
well. Well, I'd love to bring you into the mix, Felix, around your focus is in the climate and energy space. And I think there are a lot of people who are interested in making that transition from whatever industry they're in and moving into climate. And so how are you seeing that happen successfully, of someone, say, moving from working in finance in the banking sector to moving into finance in the climate, and to be able to transition those skills successfully?
Well, thanks, Jennifer. I don't think that is a big deal, because when you look at the skill sets required in the climate energy space, it's not so much different from what the other sectors are requiring. For example, when somebody has done accounting and they have been able to do a little bit of financial analysis. I mean, that can be deployed very successfully in the climate tech space, because there's a lot of financing, there's a lot of investment readiness, things that people are doing in the climate space. I think the issue is a change of orientation. The way perhaps you use some names there in the banking sector, perhaps it's just a change of a few names, a change of perspective, a change of the way people relate within that space, because every sector has a few rules and regulations in terms of how people behave and talk. Same case to marketing. I mean, we have BD. I mean, when we look at from a commercial perspective, people talk about marketing managers. The other side, we talk about BDM, people generating a couple of things here and there. So I think it's an issue of people changing perspective just to understand the sector, which is not a hand one, first and foremost. It's an issue of people agreeing within themselves, I want to work in the climate tech space. Then what next? A little bit of training. It doesn't have to be very, very official, so to speak. Actually, you can train yourself. I always say, I was not a climate tech guy. I taught myself to be the climate tech space. So I didn't go to any school to be able to teach myself that, but I weaved myself in one or the other, be where I am today. So some courses online, some meetings here and there, a few interactions, a few networking here and there, you are able to get in this space because there's quite that is happening in the climate tech space today. Both, if you look at all the sectors from agriculture, from energy, waste management, there is quite a lot that is happening that has been christened, you know, in one name, climate tech. So there's quite a lot of people can be able to do that. But the learning opportunities, they're immense, self-paced learning opportunities, networking opportunities, but also you can decide to go to school and get perhaps something to be able to reorient your mind to another sector.
That's great. Thank you. Sometimes I see a lot
We
of
also
parallels
have-
sometimes. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying we also have, I think, a couple of modules that we have put online that perhaps could be able to support some people here and there. So perhaps that could also help in one or the other.
Yeah, I was just saying there seem to be parallels sometimes. I think all of you are working cross-culturally. Where Stephen mentioned that they have, centers across 5 different hubs just in Africa. And the parallels of understanding what the nuance of a culture is for a country, but then also in a business. And really the best way is to immerse yourself and ask questions, be thoughtful. So some of those same things apply when it comes to transferring your skills across sectors in entrepreneurship, is what I'm hearing you all say. We had a question here about scaling being someone's focus, and it sounds like from what you all shared to take a look, I'd encourage all of participants here to take a look at the different websites of the accelerators and incubators and companies that our panelists are working for to see what stage you all are supporting people at. And I hope, Stephen, I will take a look at your website, or if you have that link for the application for your next cohort of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, getting it now, just sharing.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. That'll be wonderful to see. And Felix just shared something here, the Kenya Climate Innovation Center. So with lots of great resources for us to take a look at. And one of the things that I love most about these webinars is how it can spark ideas and different rabbit trails sort of for people to go down to deepen your learning and understanding of these topics like impact entrepreneurship. We have reached the time here. So I want to say thank you so much to Pollinate Impact and to Ariel for bringing together such a remarkable group of speakers. Thank you so much. I'll go around here. Tabitha, Felix, Benjamin, Joram, Stephen, for making the time to share your insights. And I know that people can now go forth and follow you all on LinkedIn to continue to learn from your insights and expertise. My name is Jennifer Bangura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation. We are so delighted that you all, participants and speakers made the time for this webinar today. We are at the end of it, and so thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you all online. Take care.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you too.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Good afternoon.
Bye, guys. Thank you.